All right, welcome back to the channel. So, Terence Crawford's team says that Errol Spence Jr. is no star and that they want 50-50 in the fight, and they don't know why he's ducking. If you consider that a duck, I know why. Let's talk about what Bernie the Boxer had to say on Blue Blood Sports TV's live stream today, or by the time you watch this video yesterday. Let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the show. Errol Spence Jr. is, if you didn't understand what was going on in boxing, if you haven't watched this channel, Errol Spence Jr. is, I believe, without a doubt, the biggest American star in boxing. And there's a few fights that people want to see him have. They want to see him have. Most people that have been talking about seeing Errol Spence Jr. fight for the last couple of years say Terence Crawford. I would love to see an Errol Spence Jr. Terence Crawford fight. Errol Spence Jr. has also said that he would like to fight Canelo Alvarez because he thinks he can beat Canelo Alvarez. He doesn't think Canelo Alvarez's size is going to be a problem for him, and there's a lot of money he wants to take that fight. But despite being, and I'm going to tell you exactly why, one of the biggest stars in boxing, nobody at Top Rank seems to be able to figure out that he is actually a star. Now, when you hear from Bob Arum, because I was thinking, should I do one video today or should I do two about this subject? Because I'd written it out. I was like, oh, Bob Arum said something bananas. Bernie the Boxer did not say anything bananas because I understand what Bernie the Boxer's role is in this. So I understand why he would say what he's saying. I understand why he sees it like he sees it. But still going to talk about him at the same time because it still reflects the same phenomenon that I've seen take place last week when I brought up the issue of Errol Spence Jr. and Canelo Alvarez. It's this they see the world so radically different than what I do when I look at the numbers that I just have to wonder, like, man, what planet are they on or what planet am I on? Because I just don't get it, right? Bob Arum, for example, says that the PBC keeps losing money on Errol Spence. Similar to the way that Kevin Iole has said for a very long time that the PBC is just losing money, period. Now, if Errol Spence Jr. is losing money for the PBC and they can't find a way to make money unless it's the Terence Crawford fight, I mean, does that sound logical to you? Does that sound logical at all? If for Bob Arum to say that in one breath that Terence Crawford is losing money, he can show how he loses money on Terence Crawford, and then say, oh, Errol Spence Jr. is losing money. I suspect he says that he's got inside information that tells that they're really just continually losing money on Errol Spence Jr., and that's why they keep putting him on pay-per-view, like they just have some special love for Errol Spence Jr. and want to just lie to the world about how well he's doing, as if he's just like they didn't make money on Mikey Garcia versus Errol Spence Jr. in Dallas, Texas, when they had 45,000 people there. They lost that money too. I mean, how do these guys stay in business if they just keep losing money, right? It just doesn't sound logical. But it sounds logical if you consider that Bob Arum is just not going to give anybody any credit if they don't fight on his card. And giving the PBC credit for being, for doing and being a successful entity that's just not in his business plan. It hasn't been in his business plan since he joined in with Oscar De La Hoya to sue Al Heyman when they established the PBC and the model of trying to have fights on free TV, right? How ironic it is that the guy that at the time of the establishment of the PBC was very into pay-per-views, right, was so against the idea of the PBC putting the fights on free TV, now says that the PBC is losing money because nobody wants to have pay-per-view, while they have their fighters on what is very close to free TV. You see what I'm saying? So it's just with Bob, it's just wow. But in the media, it's just, okay, yeah, you expect these guys to do it. Terence Crawford's team, the way that they saw it, the way that Bernie the Boxer sees it, I don't have an issue with him taking that stance. But when you look at the numbers, because Bernie the Boxer said, look, man, I'm not into the business side of that. I'm not, and I understand that, right? Like, not everybody is going to be fluid in, the verbiage about the leverage of the fight and the percentage of the fight and what you take into consideration when who gets what percentage. When Bernie is saying, hey, man, I think this fight is fair as a 50-50 fight, he's talking about from the perspective of, look, man, I see Errol Spence Jr. standing there. I see Terence Crawford standing there. This is a 50-50 fight. This is a huge fight that everybody wants to show up to. Why wouldn't we want to make this fight? Why wouldn't you want to have a 50-50? Right? So I understand why he would say that. At the same time, Bernie wasn't quite, maybe, appreciative of the fact that Terence Crawford has said that he doesn't want to fight Errol Spence Jr. already. He said if it ain't 50-50, there's no fight. And then Errol's like, yeah, man, look, he's going to take the 60-40 or 70-30 or whatever it is. And then we can have the fight. But here's the thing. Errol's saying he wants to fight. The only person that has said that they were going to walk away from the fight and not make the fight is Terence Crawford, right? So it's just, I understand where Bernie's coming from, and I definitely do not want to belittle him in any way while he is out there, defending his, defending his team, because that's what he's supposed to do. And it's not completely illogical. It's not illogical at all, really, because truth be told, I wish that he had, that he would do 50-50. You know what I mean? I wish that he did. I don't care whose cut or what goes to whatever's money, goes to who. I absolutely positively want to see the fight. Anyway, on to the point of what I was saying about why Errol Spence Jr. is most definitely a star. I'm going to do a video. It'll probably be up a little bit later. And since this is like towards the end of this one, let me give you the numbers on why I say Errol Spence Jr. is a star. Dude, Errol Spence Jr. just sold more in his last fight than Anthony Joshua did in his. Anthony Joshua was supposed to be the biggest draw in boxing, one of the top 2 guys in boxing as far as being a draw. And they're in the middle of a pandemic, just like the United States is in a pandemic. It is what it is. The numbers are what the numbers are. But if you look at the numbers that we know of for Errol Spence Jr. versus Danny Garcia, and then look at the numbers that we know of for for Anthony Joshua versus who did he fight first versus Kubrat Pulev, right? A big time ESPN fighter. The fight with Errol Spence did more because they sold if you take 250,000 pay-per-view, right? 250,000 pay-per-view for Errol Spence Jr. and at $75 is $18,750,000 in ticket sales. Anthony Joshua did $600,000 at $25, right? Which makes that $15 million. Last time I checked, $18 million is more than $15 million. So it would seem like Errol Spence Jr. as far as the pay-per-views went, sold more than Anthony Joshua did in his last fight. And I don't know what Anthony Joshua's pay-per-view and gate was in the fight before last, which would have been the Andy Ruiz fight in Dubai, because nobody has numbers on that. Similar to the way people say that Canelo Alvarez is the biggest guy name in sports, biggest number guy in boxing. But then whenever I ask somebody to prove it, they can't give me any numbers to support it. It's just oh yeah, we just know this is the case. I mean, like, where is this? What type of analytics is that? Where it's just, hey, yeah, ignore the numbers. We know we don't have any numbers. We can't prove it, but we just have a feeling. You know what I mean? So, look, I wish Terence Crawford would just be real with it and be like, look, man, of course this dude deserves the lion's share of the money if you look at it that way. Yeah, it is. Yeah. So let me take the fight. 60-40 is fair. But, dude, be like 55-45. 55-45 is better than 60-40. And then you just be mad and get the lion's share in a rematch. But, hey, man, that would be a way, like, too much like right. But at least, and the people around us, and we do not have to act like we don't see what the numbers are. Even though, at the same time, we shouldn't act like we don't know that Terence Bud Crawford ain't got to prove anything to deserve this fight and to be treated fairly. 70-30 is the low ball, man. I mean, it is. For that level of fight, knowing what Terence Crawford brings to it, 70-30 would be a low ball in my opinion. And I believe and I agree with them. And if they took offense to somebody saying 70-30, you know, in the context that we're talking about it, I could understand that. But at the end of it, it really is the biggest fight for both of these guys that is going to be made, because ain't nobody putting, you know, Canelo Alvarez's feet to the fire to fight anybody, right? And, you know, I want the Sean Porter fight, but man, come on, man, 1 million. Anyway, it is what it is. You let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Peace.